All right, so welcome to Chem 106. Here's a little intro video for those of you who are new to this second part of the course. Chem 105 we just finished up in winter, and most of you are coming from that. But for you and for anybody else who this is the first time being in 106, maybe you got separated by something else, mission, maybe you're retaking the course. We'll go over in details about what's going on and how this course, how you get points in this course and how it works. So this is the required text here. You'll want to have that text so you can prepare for the practice questions. The practice questions are kind of like quizzes. They won't count towards your grade. However, there will be a small amount up to a possible 3%, right? Only 3%, so not a huge amount, but a possible increase of about 3% of your exam grade. Okay? So your last semester, our homeworks didn't count for any points. This semester, they won't count for any points, but they will actually possibly be extra credit for you if you do well in them. Okay, and we'll explain that further. But to perform well in the quizzes, you'll want to understand well the problems in the back of the book. Okay, and so this is the text where you'll get those books. The Chem 105, 106 is designed to be taken in sequence, and so we're kind of picking up where we left off. These are fundamental chemical principles that I think are useful for understanding chemistry, sure, but everything around us, the world has to play by these rules, everything. So I feel like these are fundamental truths that you can't go wrong if you understand and you utilize these principles well. Okay, there's going to be 3 exams for sure. I mean, I can't imagine it's going down to 2, but we're going to try to get in 3, and we'd like to get in a 4th if we end up having time. And the idea behind the exams is as you take an exam, you learn from the exam experience, you learn a little bit more about the questions that you need to be aware of, and then you're prepared after you've taken your 3 or 4 exams, and so at the end of the term, you can take the final. Because all the exams are cumulative, if your exam scores improve as you take the exams, then previous exam scores will be changed. So for example, if I take the first exam, exam 1, and I get a 25% because I wasn't aware of how things were supposed to go, and I didn't perform very well. Well, I take exam 2, and I get a 30%. I'm getting the hang of things. I take exam 3, and I get a 50%, right? Going into the final exam, essentially what you'd be looking at here is having 50% on both of these exams because you've improved your score, because these are cumulative exams. So each time you take it, it's a chance to take the previous exam with the new material on it. So if you improve, then you improve your score. So if you were to do 51%, right, final exam, then all of these would be raised to 51% as well, right? So that's what we mean when we say you can improve your score if you get a higher score. If you get a 60%, 50%, 40%, 35%, right? In that scenario there, you're not going to have a change in any of your scores, right? Because your scores are going down, okay? So that's how our exams work. The exams themselves are standardized questions. And because these exams come from the American Chemical Society repository of standardized questions, then the average score on these questions is 50%. There should be always a standardized, a normal curve, we call it, where there's the same amount of scores on both sides. And for that to be possible, this average has to be around at 50%, right? If it's at 75%, if you had an average around 75%, then you wouldn't have a normal distribution, right? A normal distribution. So we're using standardized questions, so the average should be of your exams should be around 50%. And so what that means is your score in the class is not like a typical class where 75% is considered a C. We have a C being at 50%. So an average student in the class should be getting around 50% on their exams. Okay? All right. So the first exams, the midterm exams, they're only worth about 60 points each, right? And not about, they are worth 60 points each. And if we get 4 of them, then this could be an increased number. But it really is, they're just preparation for this final exam at the end, which will have the opportunity to sway your grade drastically if you do well in it. Now, if you don't do well on the final exam, then you'll want to have gathered as many points as possible from these first exams. So you definitely don't want to just ignore these first exams. You want to be able to do well. If you ignore the first one and don't do really well on it, second one don't do really well on it, you have to do well on the third, so that going into the final you have gathered as many points as you can. But that's basically the only way to get points is through these exams here. All right. Let me clarify how the extra credit will work. All right. So let's say that for the homework, right? Homework. In my grade sheet, I have quiz 1, quiz 2, quiz 3, quiz 4. Maybe these are different quizzes that I had before the first exam. Okay. Now, and then this, we're going to have our grade, our total grade, right? If I take quiz 1 and I get 100%, right? And it's actually not going to be in percentages. It's going to be like points, maybe 4 out of 4, something like that. I take quiz 2, I get 2 out of 2. I take quiz 3, I get 1 out of 1. Quiz 4, I get 3 out of 3. Then the percentage that I got right on all these is 100%. So that means I'm going to be able to augment my score by 3%. So now I take the exam and I get 50%. Well, because I have 100% of the possible extra credit points, then this can go up by 3%. So it can go up to a 53. All right. So that's what the extra credit here will be able to do. And then the grade in the class would not be influenced by any of these quizzes here. The grade in the class would be only influenced by the exam. So after exam 1, if this was your scenario, if you got 100% of the quiz questions right, you took the exam and got a 50, then your grade at that point in the class would be 53% because you got 100% here, all right? Let's say you didn't quite get 100%, maybe you missed some, and let's say you only got 90%. So instead of going up 3%, your grade would only go up 3 times 0.9, it would only go up 2.7%. So if you only got 90% of the quiz questions right, then this would only be up to 52.7%, right? So that's how the extra credit is going to work. Those extra credit quizzes, I feel like we're seeing that people who are spending time on these quizzes are having the opportunity to improve their grade, not because of the extra credit, but because it actually is influencing their understanding of the material. And so we're trying to encourage people to do that and reward them if they've done it by offering them a little extra credit. So now, if you find some way to cheat this system, right? If you find some way just to Google the answers really fast and just get the right answers, and you end up with 100% here, and you're in good position. But if you really haven't learned the material and you end up getting 20% on your exam, then that 23% isn't going to be very helpful to you. Going from 20 to 23%, you're still going to find yourself in a problematic situation. So the effort going into these to get the high percentage is nice, but if you're just doing it to try to cheat the system and get the extra credit, it's probably not going to be too influential. 3% can be influential in the end, especially if we have multiple exams. If you get to the third exam and you can increase your score because you've taken the first two exams and you're getting around 53% or something like that, going from a 53 to a 57, 56%, that's a pretty significant jump there, right? Okay. So it's essentially like a whole grade between a B to a B plus or a B plus to an A minus type of thing. So maybe that's not motivation for you, but that's the way the homework is going, how the homework is going to have a chance to influence your grades. Okay.